So I was medium popularity in public school. I was hanging out. I hung out with two of the metalheads, and I was a weirdo. But my cousins, they convinced me that it was not the I am that protected me, but it was them. And I believed them. They convinced me. My cousins were like, in my eyes, they were the most popular in school, or the coolest, the most chill in school. You know that scene in John Wick when he calls up some people to clean up his house after he kills some dudes, and two Hawaiian-looking, Puerto Rican-looking, chubby, bearded dudes show up, and you just feel comfortable and safe with those guys? Anyway. So when 9/11 happened, I did not think that I would learn that people beg for violation. I didn't think that I would learn that suicide by cop is so endemic to a specific population that if you stop the police officers from helping these suicidal niggas get themselves killed, that these suicidal niggas will find someone else and torture someone else in the disassociated hope of getting murdered. And even after I learned that, I did not think that this desire to be penetrated, exaggerated out of proportion, would be revealed as extremely endemic, extremely influential in what we call society, even though they don't socialize. And between the two lessons of learning that the suicide by cop demographic, now that they can't get police officers to murder them, are bothering me, and learning that where it comes from, the desire to be penetrated, the desire to be violated, the female, I don't even know if it's nothing that we would call female, because everything that we call female is identifiable and civil people, persons. But this monstrous, this hideous strength, that hideous strength, what do you see? Somebody just stared at me with sunken in eyes. Some small. What do you see? Between learning the first one and after I learned the first one and before I learned the second one, I was crying because I wanted to murder someone. I wanted to beat someone up. I wanted to teach someone a lesson. I wanted to force someone to tell the truth. And I imagined people saying, that's crazy, that they don't understand tears. They don't understand anger and tear and crying. And I was like, what are you talking about? Even babies cry for the same reason. You think babies want to, be nice to you? They clench their fists, they make a very angry face, and they scream, and they weep. And teenagers cry because their parents make them want to murder their parents. And they don't want to murder their parents, or they're afraid to murder their parents, or whatever. And even now I'm thinking that this is strange and no one understands. It's crap, it's corruption, it's deception, it's crazy, it's normal people's bullshit. It's the normal bullshit of normal people. It's the normal bullshit of background characters. They don't understand. It's that they don't understand the normal bullshit of normal people. The common, they use it all the time like a can opener. They use it, lies. It just works. And between the two lessons, I said, what are you talking about? Even babies cry because they want to murder you. And then after that, the torture kept on coming. And for a while, I said that we live in a rapist factory. We live in a place that overwhelmingly punishes men. It would be overwhelming, but I'm not overwhelmed. That overwhelmingly punishes men who value the sovereignty of other people's decisions. That men who value the sovereignty of other people's decisions are punished. And that men who do not value the sovereignty of other people's decisions are overwhelmingly rewarded. That men who do not mind manipulating others, that men who think of themselves as smarter than other people, men who intimidate, lie, manipulate, deceive, influence without permission, they are rewarded more than we can even consider rewarding. It's overwhelmingly rewarded. And then it kept going, the torture kept on coming. And I started to feel sick about the idea of the terrorists, because I did not know that I would learn that this world can beg for terrorism. I didn't know that I would learn that, and it made me sick. And recently I've been thinking, how can I condemn human traffickers and organ harvesters if the bodies in my environment do not exhibit memory, do not have memory, do not interact socially, do not conversate, they don't have memory. From one moment to the other, all they have is their position and the rules thereof. And I can't feel it, but the next thing after that, after you perceive reality that the meat robots are meat robots, you think about Jesus and you think about God. Sir. Please do not toss your child into the water. Yeah. He's like, what do I do with this thing? I'm going to throw her in. The guy had his daughter up on his shoulder, and he was up against the edge. As I was saying, meat robots. And you think about Jesus and you think about God being angry at people for not exhibiting individual consciousness behavior. And you don't really feel anything because the postmodern Judeo-Christian concept of God is beyond interpersonal consciousness. The scale, we see it in movies. We see guys altering reality, disappearing and reappearing, and in comic books we see characters that are reality manipulators or omnipotent, without cost. Like in the comic book, when Thanos had the Infinity Gauntlet, he was altering reality and it wasn't bothering him. It wasn't causing him physical exertion. He was moving planets around, just smashing planets around. But in the movie, the glove, it affected. Look at these characters. I'm not going to show you their faces, but you get this guy. He's been mugging me ever since I showed up. He just did it again, and they don't know what they're doing. You could electrocute them. They would not be able to tell you what they're doing. I'm so respectful, my nigga. I only recorded their feet so that you could see that they were all positioned directly at me. And so once all of that is said and done, the only thing, not the only thing, but after all of that is said, done, processed, and added to the audience as consciousness, then I can say, you know, I hated this area. This wasn't even a neighborhood. If you tried to find the Twin Towers, you would find walls of parking lot space and streets that go nowhere. This neighborhood sucked. It wasn't a neighborhood. It was a big blockade, and it sucked. It was a social blight. It was a social nigger on this whole neighborhood. It was a big ugly nigger, this neighborhood. It was a blight on the neighborhood. These cross streets were not here. This whole area was one big building supposedly on a hill. They're like, oh no, it's a hill. It was not a hill. And if you were going to approach the Twin Towers, if you want to know what it feels like to try to approach the Twin Towers, try to find the walkway up on the south side to go up onto that entrance, starting at Wall Street, and walk up and try to find that entrance. It was the same kind of inhospitable aggressiveness in the architecture. Aggressively inhospitable, not inhospitable aggressiveness. It was aggressively inhospitable. And I hated it because nowhere else in New York is it like that, except maybe if you're trying to go to Columbia from Harlem, and there's a park and a big palisade hill, a cliff. But even that has stone, and it looks nice, and there's trees. And there's walkways. Several walkways that you can walk up the cliff face. And this is a beautiful change. And you even have access to the luxury mall. You even have visual access to the luxury mall over there, and you can enter directly. You can even cross right over West Side Highway or West Street Highway, and you can walk from almost Broadway. You can see it. It's so many visuals. Now, there are several reasons why I use what I hate calling the N-word. The first reason why I use the N-word is because I grew up listening to gangster rap and hip-hop. Nigga. The second reason I use the N-word is because in China or Japan, the word for they don't say they say the N-word 15 times in a row really, really fast. If they like can't remember something, they go nigga, 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 nigga. And I was walking around the city, and I heard Asian people, as I was passing by, saying the N-word really fast, and I thought that it was a schizophrenic experience. And I told people, I was like, in my reality, Asian people just say the N-word like 20 times really fast. They'll say it like 3 or 4 times really, really fast. So that's the third reason that I use the N-word. Now the fourth reason I use the N-word is because well, as a Christian, as a person who was raised to be Christian, it was very functional. It had a big effect raising me as a Christian, because the bad guys in the story of the New Testament are very easily categorized as academic achiever classists. And the main focused character, although he's not really like the main character of the New Testament, because it's stories, he's maybe the main character of the Gospels, but the epistles are letters, and the book of Revelation, really the main character of the book of Revelation is how much you're afraid of getting on a plane, or how much you're afraid of just murdering someone and lighting them on fire and erasing their body and not worrying about life. Really, the main character of the book of Revelation is anyone who's trapped in morality, who is being held accountable by a big stupid. And raising me as a Christian, it had big function, because I was not an academic achiever, and if I had been an academic achiever, I probably would have paid more attention to the ER in the word nigger. Because I would have asked the question, I would have said a very complicated question. I would have said, given that racial conflict, prejudice, bias, bigotry, abuse is so prevalent and an important part of our diatribe and discussion, that as I was growing up, I'd be in the 80s and 90s, and in the mid-90s I would say, given that this is constantly in the news and that we're always talking about all of these things, we really should investigate and study what this means, that they are doing this verb of nig. So what does it mean to nig, I would have asked. And I probably would not have broken it down into a one letter with a period, like N means this, I means just this, G means this. Oh, by the way, I can't approach an intersection without cop cars showing up. It's been 3. I don't know. Maybe they want to suck my dick with a white woman. Maybe the police will show up and a white woman will hop out of the car and say, Listen, mister, you're due for a penis inspection. You think that'll happen? Anyway, so recently I thought, well, what does this mean to nig? And before I get to the N-I-G-G of nig and what it means to N-I-G-G as a verb, when you're a Christian and you would like to not be poor, and you would like to have a big, thick layer of luxury between yourself and poverty that rapes your fucking mind and violates your sense of self and causes you to have so much emotional pain that you have measurable physical pain. They can do an MRI and see how much emotional pain that you're in. When you're a Christian and you're praying and nothing happens, you look in the Bible and it says, with prayer and supplication make your requests known to God. With prayer, with prayer and supplication make your requests known to God. Now, I don't know if you get the same results, but when I looked in the dictionary, because I didn't know what the word supplication meant, I thought maybe it meant like incense or in a location or with repeating, with new language, with transforming language, or with a carefree attitude or something like that. But I looked in the dictionary for the word supplication, and the dictionary did not have the definition of supplication. It had the word for supplicant, but I don't remember if the word supplicant in the dictionary says slave or servant. I don't remember what the definition of the word supplicant was in the dictionary. I do know that I looked it up several times and never did that definition of the word supplicant give me a definition for the word supplication. Although I imagine that you are imagining the word prostration, to prostrate, to throw yourself down in front of. But my environment became so filled with supplicants that the meat brain, the machine of thinking, could no longer hide from the definition of the word supplication. And I thought about why I was not allowed to know what the word supplication meant. And the reason why I was not allowed to know what the word supplication meant was because I was already so much of a slave. I was already so much down on my face, laying prostrate before, that the society, the thing we call society or people or whatever, did not want me to know what the word supplication meant, because they already could not stand or tolerate how much of a slave that I already was. So now that we have gone over how I've learned what the word supplication means, now we'll go back to the N-I-G-G of the verb to nig. To not in God's grace as a verb do. Are you nigging? It's funny because if I had not been not an academic achiever Christian, don't fill your self-esteem with academic achievements. If I had filled my self-esteem with academic achievements, asking somebody who is bothering you, are you nigging? Are you nigging me? Are you nigging me? Would have become very popular or outright illegal. Sir, are you nigging, sir? Sir? Sir, are you nigging? Now, there is a way that I nig, and there is a way that I am an academic achiever. If you imagine reality as a mind storm of nightmares and dreams, a wilderness of manifestation. If you think of reality as a wilderness of manifestation, then werewolves, men monsters, unlimited, uncordoned by civic duty or humane behavior. They potentially would see my civility and my valuing female consent and my valuing the sovereignty of other people's decision-making processes. They might see this as Phariseeism, because more and more we learn that my ideas of civilization are just things I read in a book. And to those same characters, and to the women who enjoy the company of these monster men, these werewolf type things, they might see me as a not in God's grace as a verb doer, because I don't. If the grace of God is for them to exist, and if the grace of God is for them to go ravaging through the world, pleasuring those who do not even ask for it to be pleasured, then I would understand how my refusal to do that, my refusal to give in to the torment, might be considered nigging, that I am taking away the grace because I refuse to exploit people. Now, sometimes my life gets so torturous that the only way that I can express myself is by making rhyme, because I am so gaslit into believing that nothing I say makes sense that I tend towards rhyme and lyric. That way, even if you are gaslighting me and screaming at me, crying, and telling you that when I say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that I'm insulting you, at least if it's a song, it's a song. And sometimes I'll go through an entire moment in life where it's a musical, and it's so pleasurable, and wow, life can be like a musical. But after it's done, I say, you just raped me, because I did not consent to having my life become some fucking musical. Who cares if it's pleasurable? Who cares if it's fun? I want to go home. I don't want to be tortured and gaslit and made to feel like I don't make sense and forced against my will to perform. But many of these children, they never experienced freedom, so they don't understand that I don't want to be forced to perform and sing and dance. They don't get it. They don't get it. Yeah. When I got back from Portland, there are a couple of things that I brought with me. I brought back the birds that don't have no feet. And I brought back public accessible pianos. And in the bus station, there was a piano. Now, I don't know how to play piano. I took some lessons, but I really don't remember. And people are so duplicitous, and talking to people is so punishing and dangerous and without reward. I sat down at the public piano and I pressed the keys gently, and I heard the beautiful sound that came out of the piano, and I realized that was enough for me. I don't ask for much, whether I had a good day or whether I had a bad day, whether I said nigger or whether I said grandma, or whether I said how are you, or whether I said go fuck yourself, or whether I prayed before I ate or whether I didn't, whether I walked 7 miles on Saturday or whether I ate pepperonis or whether I didn't eat pepperonis, whether I drank or did not drink. When you press the key on the keyboard, it makes the same sound. And that's enough for me. And I would go and I sat down and I would do a television show on the piano, I would say, hey, I wouldn't say loud it. I would just talk to like an invisible camera, and I would say, I would go through the motions of something that made sense. And I would press the keys on the piano, making sounds that were enjoyable together. And the ghosts of the children who are tortured by their parents would show up, and they would be upset. They would be upset that I was feeling satisfied making music on a piano without having to torture myself and learn skills. That I would press the keys on the piano and make sounds that I liked, and I did not feel an envy of their skills. And they don't have the piano in the train station anymore. They took it out.